Yeah, this show does raise my blood pressure. It does. Just like couches raise other things for JD Vance. Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. Welcome to the show, everybody. You could be listening on the Occupy Democrats Network. Of course, you could be listening, well, at a lot of different places. TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. And, of course, the FMAM dial KSHP. And we appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you so much. Coming up here in just a few minutes, Ukrainian-American businessman who did some work for Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump trying to find some damning information. He's certainly turned on them now. Lev Parnes is going to be joining us here in just a couple minutes, so it'll certainly be interesting to talk to him. His thoughts on what has taken place in a very news cycle here over the last couple weeks. And Rudy Giuliani's fall from grace, not necessarily his fall since 9/11, but his fall at the Republican National Convention. We'll ask him about that in a little bit more. You know, I'm driving into work today, and occasionally I like to listen to music because it soothes my soul. But occasionally I do listen to right-wing radio as I'm driving into work, and I'm listening to that evil racist witch. No, I'm not talking about Laura Ingraham, Dana Loesch. She's the idiot who thinks that more guns make us safer. She's got blood money from the NRA, right-wing, despicable, racist herd, okay? So I'm listening to her attacks on Kamala Harris because they're coming from every direction. I mean, Sean Hannity did a segment yesterday mocking Kamala Harris because she smoked weed in college. She did a radio interview on The Breakfast Club a few years back. You cannot make this stuff up. Wow, Sean Hannity really has the goods on our vice president, soon to be president, hopefully. But I'm listening to Dana Loesch on the way over here. And yeah, Dana Loesch is another one of these racist, middle-aged white conservatives that calls her a DEI hire and all these other things, right? Meanwhile, while Republican leadership are pleading with these people to stop doing that, stop attacking her for gender, stop attacking her for race, these people can't help themselves. Why? Because they're bigots. That's why. And I'm listening to Dana Loesch, and just the other day she was criticizing Kamala Harris for not wanting to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. And then after we learned that the vice president met with Benjamin Netanyahu, now she's attacking her for doing so. You can't make this stuff up. Where's Joe Biden? How come he's going to Camp David? Why is Kamala Harris meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu? It sounds like a campaign event. No, she's the vice president, you dope. And our vice president has talked a lot, not just as a politician, as an attorney general, in her life about equity and equality. Two separate things, but also two things that go hand in hand when you're talking about minorities in this country. Now, I understand what she's saying when she talks about equity. I understand what she's saying when you look at so few minorities that are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, so few minorities that own sports teams that are billionaires. And then she talks about equality and how to get people a good head start. Some people need a little more help than others. I totally understand where she's coming from when she says that. But of the racist witch, Dana Loesch, no. Dana Loesch this morning called her a Marxist. She called her a communist. Why? Because she wants everybody starting from an equal playing field to be treated fair and as equals. Somehow that turns in to Kamala Harris being a Marxist or a communist. I don't know. Maybe Sean Hannity feels the same way because Kamala Harris smoked weed when she was in college. I mean, listen to the attacks. Listen to what the far right are doing. They're making fun of her laugh. They're calling her a DEI hire. And I told you this is going to happen the moment it appeared that Kamala Harris would be running against Donald Trump. I warned you all. Well, guess what? It turns out that I was right. Now, Dana Loesch is a talentless idiot who gets papers from her producer and just reads it off. She's not very bright, and she's got blood money on her hands. And I've gotten into it with her husband, Chris Loesch, who I've called the Dana Loesch fluffer, because that's what he is. And we've also learned on a public phone call that was heard that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have already endorsed Kamala Harris. Remember, it took a while for them to endorse Joe Biden when he ran. Not the case here. We heard all the conspiracy theories on the far right that Obama was holding out and that secretly behind closed doors he did not want Kamala Harris to run for president because he didn't believe that she could beat Donald Trump. Well, funny, where are all those retractions? I've had idiots on this show who even did documentaries about Michelle Obama, about she would be running as president of the United States. And I said, no chance that's going to happen. She doesn't want to be anywhere near the White House. Where are those retractions? We saw the conspiracy theories about Joe Biden's in the hospice. He's on his deathbed. He's got COVID. And then all of a sudden, we saw him on the tarmac. We saw him heading back to the White House. Where were all those retractions? Because the far right, they're panicking. Because they know this for a fact. They know that Kamala Harris has the minority vote. They know that Kamala Harris has the female vote. And just as important, and maybe even more important, the young vote. Younger people. 18, 20, 25. The overwhelming majority of those people will not be voting for Donald Trump. And they're scared. They're panicking. They don't know what to do. Donald Trump's vice president is embarrassing himself by the day. And if he's not looking up dolphin porn, which, by the way, we've learned that he's searched that in the past, and if he's not doubling down on attacking women or attacking Americans, for that matter, that don't have kids. Yes, that's right. JD Vance has doubled down on his idiotic comments about cat women. He's doubled down on his comments believing that if you don't have kids, you shouldn't have a stronger voice or as strong of a voice as somebody that has kids. I would ask him, what if you have kids with multiple ex-wives? Does that count? I mean, say what you want. JD Vance, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I think most people agree that JD Vance was a horrendous vice presidential pick for Donald Trump. Horrendous. Now, I said that right away, even though I predicted that this was going to happen. I've been saying for months that Donald Trump was going to pick JD Vance. But I also said it was going to be a horrible pick because it wasn't going to help Donald Trump at all. And it's not. And you know for a fact that Donald Trump is regretting the pick that he made. You know he's doing that behind closed doors. He met with Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, and met Netanyahu's wife. Where's Melania, by the way? I'm just curious. I'm just asking the question. Where's Melania? You know, there's a lot of things about Kamala Harris that, you know, you want to criticize. Maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but you want to criticize some policies. Fine, fair game. I probably will disagree with you on a lot of that, but that's a fair conversation to have. But you can't criticize her family, her beautiful family, her loving husband, 2 kids. They all have come together. And you can't attack her on family issues. You can't attack her, for example, on her education. And I was having another, again, I don't even know why I waste my time with some of these people. I really don't. But I was having, I don't know, I guess you could call it a debate. I don't even know if I'd call it that because this guy was so stupid. Some guy who lives in Texas, right, on social media. And I'm having a conversation with him, and he's calling, you know, a typical right-wing, white, racist, bigoted moron who's, you know, the DEI hire thing. And I'm looking at his Facebook account. And this is a guy who ran for office for the school board and lost. So he couldn't even get a couple thousand votes. And he couldn't even win on a school board locally. Yet he's attacking a woman who he claims a DEI hire who won 2 elections hands down as the district attorney in California. And who won the ticket with Joe Biden as vice president to defeat Donald Trump. And you saw, like him and many others in this country that are jealous, that are upset, that feel threatened, a black woman who happens to be in a powerful position, and middle-aged white Republicans, mostly men, some women, feel very threatened by that. Now, those are bigots. If you want to have conversations about policy, then I think that's great. I might disagree with you, but let's have that conversation. And Mike Johnson and those powerful people that are on the right don't have any arguments. They don't have anything, so they attack her on her skin color. They attack her for being a woman. They try to attack her family. They lie about her. They say she's anti-Jewish, even though her husband is Jewish. They say she's anti-Israel, which couldn't be further from the truth. She made some more statements today after meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that we will always defend Israel for the right to defend themselves. They are our allies. You can go back and you can listen. So the attacks are going to continue. They'll try to be more creative with their attacks, and maybe they'll use a different term than DEI. I'm sure some of them would like to use a term that starts with the letter N, and maybe it will slip out. I don't know. She's obviously qualified. She's obviously intelligent. She obviously has a quality education. And we'll get into this a little bit later. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. canceling some campaign events, praising Donald Trump and attacking Kamala Harris. I guess this is par for the course for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I guess a part of me was wrong about him. Because if he does back out and endorse Donald Trump, he's nothing more than a coward. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get Lev Parnes on the line and get his thoughts, of course, the Ukrainian-American businessman who worked very closely with former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani back in 2018 and 2019. Lev Parnes is going to be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this with Lev. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Greenwood Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Workers have been hit hard over the past few years. From the pandemic to inflation, it has often felt like we can't get ahead. Too many of us are struggling to afford rent, food, and other basic necessities. We need leaders who know that our country depends on us, the workers. If we succeed, everyone else succeeds. Our choice is clear this November. We must elect leaders who support our crucial role in this country. And that is not Donald Trump. Paid for by Battleborn Progress.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercials, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit quincefornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
Rebel Nation, get ready. The 2024-25 UNLV Rebels football season is here. KSHP is your home for Running Rebel football tickets. Take note of this exciting lineup. Saturday, September 7th, versus Utah Tech. Las Vegas Heroes Day and the 1974 team 50th anniversary. Saturday, September 28th versus Fresno State, Hispanic Heritage Day and the 1994 team 30th anniversary. Friday, October 4th versus Syracuse, Breast Cancer Awareness Night. Friday, October 25th versus Boise State, Nevada Day and homecoming celebrations. Saturday, November 16th versus San Diego State, Military and First Responder Appreciation Night. Saturday, November 30th versus Nevada Reno for the 50th battle for the Fremont Cannon. Join us at Allegiant Stadium for an unforgettable season of hard-hitting action and electrifying moments. To get tickets, call 702-221-1200. That's 702-221-1200. Go Rebel! At Safe Steps Academy, we're on a relentless mission. We're not just teaching CPR, we're igniting a movement, spreading the gospel of preparedness far and wide. Our focus is clear, to empower everyday people with the knowledge and confidence to act in an emergency. Picture this, you're out for a walk, enjoying life's simple pleasures, when suddenly a medical emergency strikes. In that critical moment, you're surrounded by trained bystanders who leap into action, their skills honed by Safe Steps Academy. All classes will train individuals and adults, child, infant CPR, AED, and first aid. Classes are laid back, hands-on, and equip you for real-life emergencies. Instruction is approximately 1.5 hours long. Located at 4079 North Rancho in Alexander, behind Timbers Bar. Contact Michelle for an appointment at 702-583-5838 or go to SafeStepAcademy.gov.
Time now for the most listened to talk show in Vegas. Talking with those on the right, the left, and everywhere in between. It's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
I hate everything about this Brian Shapiro guy.
This show will make you laugh, make you cry, and it might raise Brian's blood pressure.
You know what? People like you, all you do is make excuses for the orange turd, and I've had it.
Buckle up, because it's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
You're different. I like you.
Now, here's Brian.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Lev Parnes is going to be joining us here in just a little bit. This portion of the program is brought to you by Battle-Born Progress. Education, of course, is a fundamental right in the country. Donald Trump endorses school choice, another voucher scheme that a lot of people would say. So we need leaders who understand public money and need to stay and keep that money in our public schools. Need leaders to know that this country depends on us, the workers. For more information, check them out. battlebornprogress.org. Again, that website, battlebornprogress.org. So I'm talking a little bit about the attacks on Kamala Harris that are endless. And it's interesting because I think some of the attacks on JD Vance are somewhat warranted. So I want to play this audio for you again because the Trump team is spinning and curling up in a pretzel and trying to come up with excuses for JD Vance's idiotic comments about women. Have a listen to this.
Look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question.
Well, I'll ask the question. Are you unaware that Kamala Harris has 2 kids? Are you unaware that Pete Buttigieg has 2 kids? I mean, obviously, he's just a complete idiot. But now the Trump team, they're trying to backpedal on this, and they're trying to come up with excuses curling into a pretzel. Listen to Newsmax and a Trump surrogate saying that somehow this comment was, quote, taken out of context.
Is there a plan to get Vance on Newsmax or get him in front of a camera to try and clean this up? You tweeted today, as a new mom, my heart aches for women who are unable to bear children. JD Vance's words are being taken completely out of context and unfairly attacked. Can you take us through what's going on and if there's a plan to have him clean this up?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, the senator's words are being taken out of context by talking heads in the mainstream media, liberal pundits who do this for a living. They are trying to portray Senator Vance as someone who he is not. I'll tell you who he is. He is a father. He is a husband. He is a great man. He's a phenomenal leader and a great voice for the Republican Party, a rising star. And that is why the left is so threatened by him and by his values and his ideals.
His values and his ideals. You think the Democrats are threatened by JD Vance? What smoke is, what crack really is this chick smoking? Are you kidding me? There's not one Democrat that I've spoken to at all that is threatened by JD Vance. Now, they might be threatened by his views, and many Republicans are as well, with his disgusting views on women, his views if you don't have kids. Yeah, he's got some crazy views, but they don't think that JD Vance is somehow helping Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, you know who else is starting to feel that way? Donald Trump, as we're learning behind closed doors. That wasn't taken out of context at all. That's exactly what JD Vance said. He's doubled up on those comments, and that's what he means. This is when JD Vance the other day started talking about, and this is really bizarre, how parents should have more say in society than non-parents. Have a listen to this.
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Now, people will say, and I'm sure the Atlantic and the Washington Post and all the usual suspects will criticize me about this in the coming days.
Yeah, like normal people.
Well, doesn't this mean that non-parents don't have as much of a voice as parents? Doesn't this mean that parents get a bigger say in how our democracy functions? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. Clap for that, you nut jobs. What a crazy a take. Like, it's one thing to disagree on policy, but parents should have more say than non-parents. What the hell is this guy talking about? Do we not find that to be absolute lunacy? Is this crazy? And it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen, because then he was found to be calling for federal response to stop women from traveling from one red state to a blue state to receive reproductive health care. He actually said it himself. You see, we're not taking any of this stuff out of context. These are actually the things that JD Vance has said, and it gets worse. Listen to this.
Okay, look, here's the situation. Let's say Roe versus Wade is overruled. Ohio bans abortion. In 2022 or let's say 2024. And then, every day, George Soros sends a 747 to Columbus to load up disproportionately black women to get them to go have abortions in California. And of course, the left will celebrate this as a victory for diversity. That's kind of creepy.
Health justice is when we exterminate working class black people.
Yeah, something like that could, that would be a really weird turn of events that could happen. Yes.
And it's like, if that happens, do you need some federal response to prevent it from happening? Because it's really creepy. And, I'm pretty sympathetic to that, actually.
Yeah, you sound very sympathetic to a 12 or 13-year-old girl that's raped and in some cases has to go to another state to get an abortion. And now you want to get rid of that as well. You want to talk about creepy when you're not molesting couches. How ridiculous is this guy? And how about the interviewers? The woman can't even talk. What a dope. God, these stupid people with on Newsmax and these right-wing entities and these podcasts. Yeah, he's really doing a great job getting middle America together and getting independence, doing a podcast with Megyn Kelly and going on Newsmax. Oh, my God. I mean, it is just embarrassing. It is pathetic. And Democrats don't celebrate abortions, you stupid bigot. Democrats aren't celebrating when a woman has to make a very difficult choice. You know what we celebrate? The woman's right to choose, to make. That's right. That's right. We don't want the government to make that choice. The woman should be allowed to make the choice for herself. And Democrats aren't jumping up on trampolines celebrating when a woman gets an abortion. No. It's such a lie. And it's so disgusting. And the attacks on Kamala Harris by the far right, these are who these people are. They're all racist bigots. I'm talking about the MAGA extreme right Republicans. They couldn't stand the fact that a black man became the president of the United States. So what did they do when they saw that he was going to be a threat and then he might become the president? They all did what Donald Trump did. It was the birther issue. He wasn't born in this country. It couldn't be. We can't have a black man running the country. And then when Barack Obama released his birth certificate, did we hear all these sympathetic apologies? Oh boy, I was wrong. I'm really sorry. No, because they're all a bunch of bigot racists. And we're seeing the same stuff. If you don't like Kamala Harris on policy, tell me the policies you don't like. And let's have at least attempt to have an intellectual conversation about that. I don't agree with everything that Kamala Harris has done, but I'll tell you this about her. It starts with, are you a decent human being? Obviously, Donald Trump is not. What has Kamala Harris done in her life that is so bad? She's in a loving relationship. She has a loving husband. She's a loving mother. She's a loving wife. She's highly educated. Nobody handed her anything. And people want to make the claim, allegedly, she had an affair with this guy decades ago. Meanwhile, they support the liable rapist. What has she done in her life that is so bad? You don't like some of her policies? Fine. What has this woman done? She's never been in trouble with the law before. She has a quality education. She's worked for everything she's received her entire life. She's worked extremely hard, duly elected twice in California. The winning ticket as vice president with Joe Biden. She's been the vice president for almost 4 years. What has she done that is so wrong? Oh, yeah, she's also not selling Kamala Harris Bibles or gold sneakers either. You want to talk about policy? Let's have that conversation. But Kamala Harris is a decent woman, a decent human being. And I believe she cares about this country. And she always talks about how grateful she is to be in this country. But the attacks have no substance. And I'll tell you one thing, our vice president is 150% correct because Donald Trump is now backpedaling. The last thing, mark my words, that Cheeto Jesus wants to do is stand on a debate stage with Kamala Harris. He does not want to do that. We are not talking about Hillary Clinton back in 2016. I believe Kamala Harris will do a better job on a debate stage. Donald Trump wants no piece of that. None. Zero. This is not Joe Biden we're talking about in his early 80s. This is a 59-year-old Kamala Harris who is sharp as they can get, as far as I'm concerned. Trump does not want a part of this. Why did he agree to the CNN debate? Well, because he was confident that he could overpower Joe Biden. Now, listen, he lied about everything. It's not that Donald Trump had a good debate. He didn't. He lied about everything. It was that Joe Biden had a bad debate. It wasn't that Donald Trump had a great debate. Not going to happen with Kamala Harris. Not going to happen. So he's backpedaling. And here's what Kamala Harris had to say about it.
I'll tell you, I'm ready to debate Donald Trump. I have agreed to the previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready.
Well, I am not surprised to hear more lies from Kamala Harris. In fact, I just spoke to President Trump about this very topic today. He is committed to debating Kamala Harris. It will happen.
Just moments before we came on air, a newly released statement from the Trump campaign came out where they are hedging on the debates altogether, backing out of them for the time being, with Trump's spokesperson saying, and I'm quoting now from the new statement, general election debate details cannot be finalized until Democrats formally decide on their nominee.
Yeah, okay. So we have the Trump surrogate on Newsmax saying, oh, no, that's a lie. Trump's not backpedaling. And then literally a couple hours later, they put out a statement backpedaling. You can't make this stuff up. Now, why are they doing this? Why? They know who the nominee is going to be. It's Kamala Harris. They know that. But they put out this statement saying, well, whoa, let's wait. We don't even know who Donald Trump's opponent's going to be. Yes, you do. You're just putting out those statements because you're afraid. They've backed out of any future debates. Why? Because they're scared of Kamala Harris. Because they know that Donald Trump would be in trouble on a debate stage. Now, we'll wait and see if this debate even happens. It probably won't. And Donald Trump and his people will put up every excuse in the book for it. You know, and listen, the conspiracy theories get worse and worse. I've said this, Vivek Ramaswamy did this show. I think he's a snake. I think he's a really bad guy. He made a living selling pharmaceutical drugs to the big companies out there. Many of the drugs don't even work. And somehow we're supposed to sit here and believe that Vivek Ramaswamy is this brilliant guy. He's not. He's a snake, just like Donald Trump, with different skin color. That's it. And Vivek Ramaswamy is the guy who says that January 6th was an inside job and the 2020 election was stolen. He's a conspiracy theorist, right-wing moron, a-hole is exactly what he is. He's a snake. So listen to the latest Vivek Ramaswamy plot, conspiracy theory, lie, call it for what you will, where he goes on Sean Hannity's show, and now he's claiming that the Democrat National Convention will replace Kamala Harris with Michelle Obama. Folks, you can't even make this stuff up. It's so you-know-what crazy.
So look, I say this as somebody who a year ago predicted Joe was not going to be the nominee. I'm going to predict that Kamala Harris is not going to be the nominee either. And the reason is if they get one shot, they're going to take their absolute best shot that they can.
Who is it?
That's clearly not Kamala Harris. Well, look, I think there's a lot of open possibilities. I would not write off the possibility that it ends up being Michelle Obama. She checks off the same identity politic boxes, and it's going to be somebody who's maybe above the fray that doesn't create the same kind of infighting that could debilitate their party.
So Barack,
the reality, Sean,
Barack is literally leading the charge, trying to keep his, keeping plausible deniability, and then his own wife takes over. What do you call that?
I think you call it realism. Sean, the reality is they're going to take their best shot. They waited till after the RNC convention. That timing is optimal for them because it gets closer and closer to the eventual election. They're going to drag this out, I predict, through the Democratic nomination convention at the DNC in late August. I think Michelle Obama is not off the table.
Absolutely ridiculous. No evidence or any proof to back up anything that Vivek Ramaswamy says at any given time. That is a lie. Michelle Obama is not going to be stepping in as president of the United States. I've been saying that for years, actually, now. Do I think she would be a great president? Absolutely. It ain't going to happen. Vivek Ramaswamy has no inside information on it. He's a lying slime ball. He always will be a lying slime ball. And he's a grifter. These conspiracy theories will continue. Kamala Harris is their woman. She is now going to be the new face leader of the Democrat Party, and she will be the one facing Donald Trump. And in most polls across the country, she's looking better than Joe Biden did. This is an extremely close race. And Republicans out there want to make the claim, that this is a honeymoon phase. I'm not so sure about that. I think the numbers are going to continue to climb. I think Kamala Harris has said and done all the right things over the course of the last several days, and I have confidence in her that she will continue to do so. And I am looking forward to it, but I will tell you right now, 99% I am certain, and I've been right in the past. I was right about who Donald Trump picked. I think I'm going to be absolutely right on who Kamala Harris picks as her VP. It's going to be Kelly. I don't think there's any question about that. She's been very close with Kelly's wife. And I think Kelly's going to be the guy. I think by the way, I think that's a really good pick. Boy, try winning a gun control debate with Kelly. Oh, my. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines now. And we'll get Lev Parnes in hour number 2. 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now is the time to do so. Give us a call. 702-221-7283. Before I take some phone calls, and we have some people on hold, so I will be taking some phone calls next, I want to remind you all real quickly, this is an independent show. We are independently run, meaning we rely on good people like yourself. So what can you do for us? If you support what we do, you like what we do, you want to know more, well, here's step number 1. Check out my new website, which is pushingthelimits.com. pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for the free newsletter. If you really want to support what we do, besides being a listener, which we appreciate very much, is go on the page and shop. There's merchandise that is for sale, very affordable, and we appreciate that. And if you don't feel like buying any merchandise, doesn't matter whether it's $5 or $10, whatever you can afford per month, there's a donate button there, and we appreciate every dollar. Anything you can do to help us, we so appreciate it. So check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. If you like what we do, please support what we do besides listening and enjoying the show, which, of course, as I said, we appreciate very much. Check out the website, buy some merchandise, donate, whatever you can afford. We appreciate every dollar. 702-221-7283. And I promise you, anything that you donate will not go to any plastic surgery for myself or Melania Trump. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's see here. Who are we going to go to first? Let's go to Mark. Mark is first on PTL. Hey, Mark, what's going on?
Brian, it's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, sir. What's on your mind today?
I have just two things. And after the first, tell me what you think, and I would like your feedback on the second.
Sure.
The first thing I'm going to mention is I've been following politics for decades. And just because I don't have a talk show or a TV show doesn't mean I'm ignorant on politics. And in my personal view, I did not think that an early endorsement by Michelle Obama and her husband, early when she first was nominated by or put up for presidency by Biden, I didn't think it was beneficial at the time because there was such a huge surge. She didn't need it right then and there. When that kind of wore off a few days later, now you bring in Obama. I thought that was kind of planned. And I thought Obama and Michelle kind of had that planned out.
Well, here's what I will say to that. Of course it was planned because they have it on video. So when I would assume, and I don't know this for sure, but I would assume because Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Michelle, they're all friends, that they were texting one another or they talked to one another. Hey, we want to endorse you. Let's do it publicly. Let's do it on the phone. And I'm sure that's how it went down. But I do think this is really, really good because I remember I interviewed Dr. Jill Biden years back when Joe Biden was running against Donald Trump. And I asked Jill Biden, I said, are you surprised that Barack Obama has still not endorsed your husband? Because it was really close before the elections, right. If you recall. And she said no, but I thought that was very strange that Obama waited this long. So mark my words.
I didn't.
I think this is a good thing for Democrats. They got this endorsement out of the way, regardless of whether it was staged or whatever. I do believe it's genuine. And all the talk of Obama's not going to endorse her, that has to go out. That has to go right. Exactly. It's garbage. And that has to go out the window. So I think this is a good thing for Democrats. It's a great thing for Kamala Harris. And, Barack, it's no longer the Clintons. Okay. It's not Bill Clinton anymore. Right. They're not the powerhouse. Right. It's the Obamas.
They're out of the picture.
Correct.
She needs to go back home and knit or do whatever she needs
well,
to
with
do.
that being said, listen, if Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton get up on a stage to endorse Kamala, I mean, that's a nice.
I don't want them nowhere near Kamala.
Well,
I don't want them anywhere near.
Okay.
I mean, with all the conspiracy theories of.
Okay. Well, I understand.
Clinton
I understand what you're saying, Mark. And by the way, I do appreciate the call. But, if Hillary goes on a campaign trail with Kamala Harris, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I understand where you're coming from on that. This is a good thing, and I appreciate the call. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Herb. I believe Herb is next on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? Let me put together a scenario for you, and I want to get your opinion. I think, first of all, and people that are listening to this that are parents, they're going to agree with me. When you have a child, your outlook on the world changes. You start to look at things differently. And part of it is because you want the world to be good for your kids and things like that. But I'm going to give you a scenario that happened to me years ago. I was working in a warehouse, and I was in a union, and we were about to strike. And I remember we went in to have a vote on the strike. The people that had no kids, and Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. People that had no kids and had no responsibility other than the
I'm sorry, Herb. I
that
have
had kids.
Go ahead and repeat yourself. Go ahead. We lost you the last couple seconds there. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay. Those that had, we went in for a vote for the strike. I was working in a warehouse. And those that had kids voted differently from those that didn't have kids. In other words, those that had kids and had responsibility and mortgages and things like that, we voted differently from those that were single and had no responsibility.
Okay, but hold
now,
on.
I'm not knocking. No,
Okay,
wait, let me just finish this. All I'm saying is that they had their vote meant as much as my vote did.
Yes,
However,
it does.
my basis of my vote was different than their thing was they had no kids, they had no respect.
So hold on, Herb. Let me interject here. Hold on. Let me interject to what you were saying. First of all, JD Vance didn't go into detail and talk about any of the things that you're talking about. He made some blatant, ignorant statements, which is that if you don't have kids, you shouldn't have as strong of a voice as somebody who does have kids. That's offensive to people that don't have kids, and that's absurd. Now, I have no doubt that if you have kids, it could change your outlook on life, and that's great. I have no problem with that, but that doesn't mean that somebody that doesn't have kids shouldn't have as strong of a voice. Number one. Number two, and now I'm going to ask. Hold on. Okay, I'm glad we agree. All right, so Herb, I want to ask you a question now because I think this is important. Most of the people that I've talked to that complain about drag queen reading and talk about indoctrination of children, because they do it a lot, are usually those that don't have kids. What do you have to say to that?
You're saying that the ones that don't have kids, they're against it?
The majority of people that I debate on a regular basis, because you know I do that, you listen to the show, that complain about drag queen reading and use the term indoctrination of kids, usually the ones that I debate and argue about this issue are those that don't have kids. So why should we listen to them about indoctrinating our kids when they don't even have kids?
Okay, well, I can't speak to that. All I know is that, because I know you talk about this a lot, but the thing is that if I have kids and I take them to a library for readings of books and things like, I used to work at a library. And one of the things that I wouldn't do with my kids, I wouldn't take them to a library to hear some drag queen.
So guess what, Herb? You have the right not to take your kids, okay? But that's not and I would not want to take that right away from you. But that's not what these extremists on the far right are doing. They're attacking drag queens, saying kids are being indoctrinated, they're being molested. Why is it, Herb, that it seems like so many of those people that talk about transgenders and kids that are transgenders don't have kids of their own? And when I ask them, how is this affecting you? They say it doesn't affect them, but yet they still bitch and moan and complain about it. And now going back to what we said earlier, JD Vance, you're trying to win over middle America voters. At least that's what I think JD and the campaign are trying to do. You're attacking women. You're attacking people in this country that don't have kids, and there's plenty of them that don't. You think that's a way to win over people? He's doing the opposite of that.
No, I'm not saying that what he said was right and he should have said it. I'm saying he probably shouldn't have said it. But because he's in a position now where he's got to get votes, and he's got to get votes from everybody.
Well, he's not doing. Herb, what has he done? Help me understand this. I know you're a Trump supporter. That's fine. We disagree on that. But name me one thing that you think JD Vance has done since Donald Trump picked him as his running mate, outside of the MAGA far-right conservative box of people that are going to vote for Trump anyway. Name me one thing JD Vance has done in the last several weeks that you think could get outsiders to vote for Trump. Can you name me one thing?
Well, there's a lot of people, Brian, that they're not Republicans, and they're Democrats or liberals, or independents. And they agree with the whole message that the Republicans are putting out right now.
What's that
There's
message?
There's a lot of people like that.
What's the message?
Well, the message is conservatism.
Which is? What's the message?
They believe in tightening up the border. They believe in...
Stop. One at a time. Let's have a conversation about this because this is substantive and this is important. They believe in tightening up the border. then why is it that a bunch of MAGA Republicans sat down at the desk with Democrats, put forth the bill, and then Donald Trump picks up the phone because they listen to their Cheeto Jesus leader, and then they don't approve of the bill? If they really care about the border, why didn't they approve of this bill after MAGA Republicans like Langford sat at the desk and put it in place?
Right. Okay. Now let me. I know Langford worked on that bill. In the Senate.
So did Mason and many other MAGA Republicans.
Okay. How many other Republicans worked on the bill with him?
Dozens of MAGA Republicans worked on this bill.
I don't know if it was dozens.
I
It
do.
might have been one or two, but
no, not true. That's a lie.
Let me say this. Let me say this then. What about the bill that the Republicans put forth from the?
Why won't you answer? Why won't you anser my direct question?
Because first of all, I can tell you right now that bill was not a good bill. 2,500 allowed every day.
Okay,
that was the limit.
First of all,
but what about the bill? Wait a minute. What about the HR2 bill that was presented in July of 2023 that the House sent to the Senate and the Senate wouldn't even vote on it?
So I asked you about.
You never bring that up.
I asked you about because this was a bipartisan bill where MAGA. And by the way, it was the most. Hey, guess what? This is without the shadow of a doubt. It was the most comprehensive bipartisan bill legislation put forth on the bill in the history of this country. Whether you don't like
Brian, that's the way the Democrats.
Guess what? You're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. MAGA Republicans like Langford, echoed what the Democrats said about this bill. In fact, after the bill was shot down, Langford did and by the way, you couldn't find somebody probably more MAGA conservative than Langford. So you are wrong, okay? So we disagree on that. I believe you're wrong on that. Give me another message that you think the Republicans are putting out, a conservative, something that you agree with. The messaging of conservatism in 2024, where you disagree with Democrats. Give me a specific policy that you think will help the country. That's the message that Donald Trump is putting out there.
Drill, baby, drill.
Okay, well, we have.
If we open up the pipelines and we start drilling and become independent,
I've got some news for you.
In our energy, I think
we are
more do a lot for the economy.
Okay, well, go ahead and look it up because we're more energy independent now than we've ever been. That's number one under the Biden administration. You can look it up if you don't believe me. I'm giving you facts. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Number two.
Don't hang up on me.
I'm not hanging up on you, but I'm finishing my response.
If we're so independent energy-wise, why do we go to Venezuela and Saudi Arabia to try to get oil?
So first of all,
why do we go to them to buy oil?
I'm going to respond. First of all, we have been more reliant and always have been reliant on other countries in the history of this country. This isn't anything new, number one. Number two, hold on. Number two, Joe Biden opened up 900 drilling sites in this country, 900 sites that are not being used right now. So if you don't think we're energy independent and you don't think we're more energy independent over Joe Biden, then you can look it up for yourself. I don't know where you're getting your information from. I'm giving you facts. You can look it up for yourself. So thank you for the call, Herb. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to who are we going to next? Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? We always talk, but I'm gonna hit you with three bullet points, and you tell me where we go from here.
Okay.
Number one, Republican House is the least productive of all government in American history. Number two, and this is to JD Vance. George Washington was childless, so we're gonna disavow
Very true.
the father of America. Is that his case, JD Vance?
Very
and
true.
More than anything, Kamala Harris is more accomplished than Donald Trump and JD Vance combined. Donald Trump couldn't even run a casino. He couldn't do anything. He is a rapist. He is a pedophile because he went to sleep with his own daughter.
Yeah.
And you could go to the tapes. when he had the team Mrs. USA, he would run into the locker rooms because he knew the girls were undressed.
He said it.
And he said it on Howard Stern.
He bragged about
out
it. You're
in
right.
public. And the last but not least, which is the most, is that when you try to argue with MAGA, MAGA never has facts. They only believe what Donald Trump says. And what he said yesterday is appalling. To say Kamala Harris does not like Jews when she's married to one. This is ridiculous. Somebody need to put a T-shirt and say, hey, JD, George Washington didn't have kids. So do we disavow George Washington? That they always cry about, oh, George Washington, but nobody has ever disputed that George Washington didn't have kids. And then we could go to Thomas Jefferson, who was a rapist of his own slave. And so I could see why MAGA has so much in common with rapists.
Well, I'll tell you this, and as you know, there have been fake pictures online of Kamala Harris with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, those are completely fake. But yet, the pictures with Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein are very real. In fact, in the Maxwell trial, we learned that Donald Trump was on that list 7 times, at least 7 times. And that's why Donald Trump does not want those records to be unsealed, for lack of a better term. You said it very eloquently. You're 100% correct. I talk about all those issues on this show every day. The attacks from the MAGA right on Kamala Harris are despicable. They are disgusting. The DEI hire, they'll make fun of her laugh. God forbid she smoked marijuana when she was in college. They'll say she slept her way to the top. There are program directors and general managers of radio stations right here in Las Vegas that allow their despicable, racist, bigoted hosts to go on the air and say that Kamala Harris has been lying on her back her entire life and she slept her way to the top. There are actual lunatic right-wing hosts in Las Vegas that talk like that, and the general managers of these stations don't care because they are probably MAGA rapist supporters themselves.
Brian, but I got you one even worse. That kid Craig Loesch that compare Kamala Harris to the Hawk 2 girl is disgusting.
Did Chris Loesch do that?
Level.
Was it Chris Loesch?
Yes, he did.
So Dana Loesch is
Kamala Harris.
That is
to the
so
Hawk 2
despicable.
girl.
So despicable.
And let me tell you something right now. We are now reaching the bottom of the bottom. Because let me tell you something. Because we don't teach civics, we should have civilized debates. But with MAGA, there is no civilization in them. Look at, if you've seen the Republican convention and watched MTG, she couldn't even smile. When she smiled was with anger in her voice. If you listen, she was like smiling and going, because she's an evil witch.
Oh, yeah.
And like I told
Absolutely.
you cannot argue with MAGA because there's too much evil in them.
Yeah,
They
and let me
say
be
they
very
love
clear,
God.
and you're very well spoken. I agree with everything you said. Thank you for the call. And I'll say this too. Dana Loesch and Chris Loesch are despicable human beings. They live their life of royalties, not because Dana Loesch is this amazing radio host, because she's not. All you got to do is listen to her for 5 minutes to know she has no talent and she's a clown. They have made boatloads of money in the past when Dana Loesch was the spokesperson for the NRA. And it didn't matter how many innocent children were shot in schools, Dana Loesch would never say anything that could hurt the bottom line of the NRA because she has blood on her hands and her despicable, ignorant, trash husband is just as bad. They are despicable people, and I will always call them out, and I am not surprised that Dana Loesch, her husband, compared Kamala Harris to the Hawk Tuah girl. How could you even marry a guy like that who talks like that? But I'm sure Dana Loesch would say, that's just locker room talk. 702-221-7283. I want to go to Terrell. Terrell is next up on PTL. Hi, Terrell. Thanks for calling in. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Louisiana. Well, thank you, sir, for calling in. What's on your mind today?
So I listen to your show quite often.
Thank you.
And I kind of, looking back, I'm 55 years old, and I kind of look, what I don't want our voters to do, and I'm Democrat, so what I don't want our voters to do is to get caught up in this deflection tactic. This has been Trump's tactic and the Republicans' tactic since he reared his ugly face. They flood and they rely on our laziness
Right.
They flood the air with misinformation that most people, 95% of the people, don't go and look it up for truth. And I'm going to go out and say there are no people that pretty much are on the fence and waiting to decide whether to vote for Trump or not. That's already been determined. There's nothing nobody can do. What we need to do is energize the young non-voters, because that's who's going to make the difference.
Right.
And that's why you see Trump and his Republicans, they throwing out all this information, relying on our laziness not to go look it up to be true or not. The caller before you, he was typical, not the last caller, but the one before that, he was typical of the tactic. Just throw out a bunch of information, make it sound good, put a lot of energy behind it.
Yeah,
and
he said that he said that quote. I think it was only one or two Republicans that helped put forth the bill. It's a lie. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
But who's going to stop and really go look it up? So the kids that are listening, they hear all this misinformation. It makes them either two things. This is their tactic. They either want to relax the vote of the young people, or win the vote over. Right. Either way is a win for them. So what we got to do is all this crap, this doohickey that they're putting out, we just got to push make them go and look it up.
Right.
And once they find out that one or two things that they're saying are a lie, they're going to lose trust in the Republicans.
Well,
but
it's
right
lie
now,
after lie. It's lie after lie. I'll give you another example.
Right.
And I talked about this on social media on my X page today. They make the claim that Kamala Harris, when she was the AG out there in California, that she put away thousands of people on minor marijuana drug charges. That is, number one, a complete and total lie. Do you know the number, because I did my own research and I looked it up, do you know the number of people that she actually put behind bars for, by the way, not minor marijuana charges. We're talking about illegal distribution. We're talking about growing marijuana and making a living doing so, hundreds of thousands of dollars off it in your backyard. We're not talking about some 19-year-old smoking a joint on a sidewalk in San Francisco. Yeah. We're talking about, these are not minor charges. But even with that being said, do you know how many people she actually put away in jail for that? In her 6 years in office? Guess.
Probably wasn't less than 10?
45 total in 6 years. That's less than 10 people a year. Yet they want to make it out like it's thousands and thousands of people. And yet these right-wing morons out there, they want to say that Democrats are too easy on crime. They're not putting people away. And here you have an attorney general, who actually put people away. And by the way, I do consider that serious when you're illegally selling drugs to others and making large profits off it. I have a problem with that. But yet the Republicans, they can't have it both ways. They're not tough enough on crime, or they're too tough on crime. Which one is it?
So let me give to my young, I'm black, and let me give you a little advice. I am okay with her record on crime. Let me tell you why. There are some enemies out there that mean us no good and mean our communities no good. And we through history, we learn how to recognize them, through the things they've done in the past. Right. But there's also another enemy that we had not recognized. It's our own people. So if she's putting away drug dealers that sold drugs in my community, I'm fine with it. If she's putting away murders and people that shoot up my community, because they're more intimate threat to my thing. So anybody who is against Kamala Harris, they're probably criminal minded.
I agree.
I'm a black person.
I agree.
I am fine with her record.
As am I. I'm fine with her record. Thank you for the call, by the way. I'm fine with her record. I'm fine with Joe Biden's record. I think they've done a good job as president and vice president. I'm totally fine with her record. I don't see any skeletons in the closet, that would lead me to believe to the contrary. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some more phone calls on the other side, but coming up next, Lev Parnes is going to be joining us. Of course, if you don't know who Lev is, he's the Ukrainian-American businessman who worked closely with former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani back in 2018 and 2019. So we are going to take a quick break, and Lev Parnes will be joining us next. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Preview Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Education is a fundamental right in the United States. Too many politicians, including Donald Trump, want to give voters a false sense of choice by promoting school choice. This is just another voucher scheme that will divert public money and send it to private schools. By diverting that money, we are hurting our children's education. We need leaders who understand the importance of keeping public money in public schools. Paid for by Battleborn Progress.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercials, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit quincefornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, check out the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones every Tuesday. You show your TAM card, you get $50 in free slot play. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders, and great promotions. Tell them I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Okay, you might have heard of this guy before. Yeah, of course. His name is Lev Parnes, a Ukrainian-American businessman who obviously worked very closely with former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani back in 2018 and 2019 to try to find damaging information about Joe Biden. He's been very open and honest lately, of course, of working with both Giuliani and Trump. And Lev joins us right now on the line. Lev, I appreciate you being here, my friend. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Sorry for earlier trouble.
No problem. No, glad we got you on. So I guess this would probably be a lighthearted question that I will start with. We've all heard of Rudy Giuliani's fall from grace, but what did you make of the fall he took tumbling at the Republican National Convention? I'm sure you saw it.
Oh my God! I mean, I right away saw that, and I thought to myself that he started a little early that day, had a little too much that day. But that would be typical for Rudy. I mean, on occasions like that, like a convention or something, that it was, he would start off early in the morning. It's a shame, but I've been saying it all along. It's Rudy Giuliani that everybody was used to seeing and knowing, and now with time we're getting to see the real Rudy Giuliani, what he's all about.
What did he drink heavily when you were around him? The times that you were around him?
Oh yeah. I mean, every day. I mean, he drank every day. Some days it was after 4, after 3. Lots of days it was start off, in the morning with, Bloody Marys and mimosas and stuff like that. About 4 miles.
Wow. So he was drinking Bloody Marys and at early in the morning. That's very troubling to say the least, but maybe that would make sense from some of the judgment or lack thereof that he's had lately. What do you make of what's transpired here in the last several weeks? I mean, there's so much to talk to you about. What do you make of Kamala Harris entering the race? Do you think Joe Biden made the right decision to step aside?
I think Joe Biden is a hero. I mean, he's incredible to do what he did. I don't know very few people would give up their power and the way he did from his own personal gain to be able to put the country ahead of him. So as far as that goes, I think Joe did incredible lead for the country. I think Kamala is going to destroy Trump. I think Trump campaign right now is in disarray. And Kamala is, she's a breath of fresh air. She's young, she's a woman, she's an ex-prosecutor, and she brings excitement. I think the excitement that the Democratic Party was missing all along.
I tend to agree with you, Lev. You were hired to try to find damaging information on Joe Biden. It appears to me that there were probably a lot of people that have been hired recently to try to find damaging information on Kamala Harris, but I really haven't heard anything. All I hear are personal attacks. DEI hire, they attack her for being a woman. They attack her for being black. They attack her for smoking marijuana 40 years ago. I haven't heard anything really damning about Kamala Harris, and there has to be people around Trump that are doing everything they can to find stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, in Trump world, the way we did it is if we couldn't find it, we manufactured it. So I'm sure they'll manufacture it. I'm sure we'll see, scandalous rumors that will be debunked. And I'm sure the social media will be buzzing with it, But listen, there's no such thing as everybody. You can't have the perfect person. He doesn't exist. Otherwise, you don't live life. Otherwise, you don't experience things. People live through life, make mistakes, go on, learn. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a problem when we have people like Donald Trump that don't want to ever apologize for their mistakes. Don't ever want to think, common sense wise. So yeah, I'm sure they'll, bring up dirt on, try to find dirt on Kamala. But the beauty of it is, it's like what happened to her. We know about Kamala. I mean, like I said, like what you said, we know about suppose her smoking cannabis 40 years ago, which is nothing wrong now because the majority of the country is for legalizing cannabis. So that's not going to work for them. I think most of it's going to backfire, especially with their vice president pick. I think JD Vance was, I'm glad they picked him, but for them, I think that was incredibly terrible.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. If you're just joining us, Lev Parnes, Ukrainian-American businessman, how surprised were you that they chose a guy in JD Vance who, not only, in my opinion, is he not helping Donald Trump in gaining new votes, I actually think he's hurting Donald Trump. What do you make of this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it was another miscalculation, misjudgment on their part. I think because they were overconfident and overexcited because, he had a great week. You got to call it what it was. He had, a lot of great beneficial things that came out of this advantage. First, the debate with Joe Biden, and second, the dismissal of his case, and third, with the shooting where he survived an assassination attempt. So, but taking all those three things into consideration, you just got to look at the polls. I mean, you would think that all of that would give him such a push, and I mean, even in the polls with Joe Biden, he was only ahead maybe by a couple of points. So I think that is a great testament to show where the country's at, and that the closer we get to elections, I think the polls are going to go higher and higher in Kamala's way to eventually, big win.
Is it a fair assumption to make that you will be voting for Kamala Harris in November?
I will be voting for Kamala Harris in November, absolutely.
What would you say to Rudy Giuliani if you were alone with him in a room right now? What would you say to him?
I start giving him some advice what to do when he gets to prison, because that's what he's heading. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can really tell him. I mean, Rudy's at a point in his life where he mumbles the same thing nonstop over and over, and it's incoherent, and there's really nothing to talk about. You're not going to be able to change his mind or prove him anything wrong. I wouldn't even want to be in the room with him one-on-one. To tell you honestly, I'm done.
Would you have believed it if I had told you in 2018 that 6 years later Rudy Giuliani would have to file for bankruptcy and he would be broke and most likely headed to jail? Would you have believed that?
Oh, never. I mean, I tell you honestly, even 3 years ago, I would never think that. God works in mysterious ways, and I tell you. Justice works slow. The wheels of justice work slow sometimes, but they do work. So I'm confident that with Trump, Rudy, and all of these cohorts that were involved in trying to steal the election, insurrection, that will eventually get what's coming to them.
I tend to agree with you. At least I certainly hope you're right. Lev, I do appreciate your time, my friend, and I'd love to have you on again down the road. And you stay safe, my friend, and I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and everybody called Kamala 2024.
Amen, brother. I'm with you, Lev. Thank you so much for the time, my friend. Appreciate you. That's Lev Parnes, everybody. We appreciate him taking the time to come on. A little tough to hear when you're in the car, but for the most part, I could make out everything he said a lot better than anything Rudy Giuliani says, that's for sure. We appreciate Lev taking the time to join us, and we'll get him back on the show as well. There's a guy who worked very closely with Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump, hired to dig up the dirt on Joe Biden. And then Lev, if you remember, he testified under oath in front of Congress, and he spilled the beans on everything. Again, making Republicans look bad because they are. And I appreciate Lev. I appreciate his honesty. I appreciate what he's done over the course of, at least over the course of the last year or so. And very telling, he'll be voting for Kamala Harris. Very telling. Lev's a smart guy. And he knows who Rudy Giuliani is. He knows who Donald Trump is. All right, I did promise we get back to the phone calls. So why don't we do that? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Cindy. I believe we have Cindy who's been waiting patiently on hold. Hi, Cindy. Where are you calling from?
Santa Cruz, California.
Thank you for calling in, Cindy. What's on your mind today?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that, I find I follow a few different sites. Other than the Occupy Democrats, there's Democrats, or Occupy Democrats, there's Democrats, there's a few others. And in the comments, you can put together a beautifully well thought out, written, researched comment, put it out there in the hopes that you will change somebody's mind, and it is absolutely impossible. All they can do is respond with a laugh emoji or a Trump 2024. And there's just no reaching them. And you can ask, what is it? Why is it that you support him? And they will never give you anything of substance. And even here you see somebody that says, Kamala, what has she ever done? Well, it's really easy to go research that online to see all of her accomplishments.
Right.
They just laugh. They have nothing to offer. There's no reaching them.
Well, I think there's a large portion, you are 100% correct, because they're brainwashed. Many of them are extremely unintelligent people. And if the people out there that are supporting Trump do have a brain, and they are intelligent people, then I believe they're supporting Donald Trump for very selfish reasons. It could be because it could be financially, it could be because they want to remain in power, it could be because they have a financial stake in this, and they know who Donald Trump is, but they put that all to the side, whether he's raped women or whether he's a felon, which he is, by the way, 34 count felon as we speak. They're just willing to put that all off to the side because one or two things might benefit them rather than the other side, which in my personal opinion would benefit all Americans for the most part, except for maybe the top 1% of wealth. So you're right. I mean, I wasted my time yesterday having a conversation with some guy that had bird for brains, very low IQ guy who lives in Texas, who kept calling Kamala Harris a DEI hire, and I should have just ignored it because they're not worth my time. But I engaged, and I learned a little bit about this idiot, that he lost an election, a local election. He couldn't even get on his own school board, yet he's attacking Kamala Harris for being a DEI hire. And look at her 2 terms as she was voted in California and her wealth of experience, and then on a winning ticket as vice president defeating Donald Trump. And yet this guy couldn't even win a local school board. The bottom line is this. A lot of these people are racist. A lot of these people are misogynist. A lot of these people, when they love the term "Make America Great Again" because it means make America white again. They don't want to help the poor. They don't want to help the middle class, but they're so stupid. So many of these people are poor and middle class people. They're very uneducated. You can't have intellectual conversations with them. They can't spell the word fact. They're brainwashed by Newsmax and OAN and Fox News, and they are long gone. They're gone. And they can't name any policies that they like when it comes to Trump and the Trump administration prior, but yet they'll say they like his policies. You can't have intellectual conversations with these kinds of people, and I remind myself that every single time I engage them.
That's right, and you said it all. And they're the most violent as well. So,
well, I'll say this: it wasn't a liberal or a Democrat that tried to assassinate Donald Trump. So they can say it's Antifa until the cows come home. It also weren't Democrats that stormed the Capitol that were chanting "Hang Mike Pence." No, they didn't do that. But they always want to talk about Black Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter protest when they have absolutely no idea what the political affiliation was with any of those people. But we know what the political affiliation was of those people that stormed the Capitol because we learned it in courtrooms with their social media followers. These people are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. It is a Klan cult. I'll say it every single day until the cows come home. So many of these middle-aged white people that show up at these Donald Trump rallies are part of a cult, and I think they're part of a Klan cult. And if Donald Trump told them to wear a white hood, many of them would. They'll do whatever their leader, their rapist, misogynist, and felonious leader tells them to do because they are cultish sheep. They want to call Democrats sheep. They're the sheep, and it's as simple as that. And I appreciate you for calling in. You got me going a little bit there on a little rant, but I appreciate it. Thank you for calling in, my dear. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Vivian. Vivian is next up on PTL. Hi, Vivian. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
Okay. Like, I've been thinking about this. How is Kamala going to handle Donald Trump and without getting in the dirt in reference to all this, taking up too much time, I guess I should say. So maybe she should send out flyers and say, do you want this person to be your president? Then list all the stuff he did, the lies, the impeachment, the convictions, the rapists, and all the people he hung out to dry when he would declare all his bankruptcies. I said, something's got to get through to the people who are on the fence, which I really don't understand how they could be on the fence. Your alternative is him.
Yeah.
So it has to be something, because she can't spend all day talking about him and what he's doing. She has to talk about the future and what she's going to do.
And I think she is, and I'm glad she is. And I'll be honest with you. So far, in the last several days, because it hasn't been very long, I think she's done a good job. I think she's called out Donald.
I do too.
Yeah, she's called out Donald Trump when she's needed to. She said all the right things. I think she will continue to do that. I'm confident she will. I'm, all due respect to Joe Biden, I thought his speech the other day was phenomenal. I thought he was emotional. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I have a lot of respect for that man. But I did have concerns, and I don't have those same kinds of concerns when it comes to Kamala Harris. She's a very intelligent, bright lady. She's quick-witted. And she's got a little feistiness in her, which, by the way, I like. And she's and the more and more I learn about her every day, the more and more I admire her. Her family.
She's a sorority sister. She has that sorority behind her too.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's got a lot of people behind her, and I think she's going to be. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. I'm not saying it's in the bag, but I think we're going to be okay. I think the next several.
We still got to go out there and we got to get the people, but
there's still work to be done.
You have a lot more confidence there, right? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Vivian. It's good to hear from you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I do appreciate your call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. I believe we have David next on PTL. Hi, David. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is from Dallas, Texas. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Mark Cuban country. I wish Mark Cuban would run for president one day.
Well, at least I can brag on one good thing, and that is Dallas is a blue county.
Yes, sir.
But in spite of our mayor who switched from Democrat to Republican, and you saw him on their little convention in the Republican by whatever his name is.
Hey, David, what about Governor Abhole? That's what I call him, Governor Abhole.
Oh, you mean noodle legs?
Yeah. What a terrible, despicable governor you have. Oh, my God.
Even from the lieutenant governor, the AG, I'm surprised charges have been brought up against them.
Yeah.
You know, the attorney general was on trial, and they acquitted him from basically the same thing Trump was doing.
Yeah. What do you think about Kamala Harris? What are your thoughts on her?
My as a 32nd degree Mason, and she's little sister sorority to me. Mm-hmm. My vote is for her.
Good.
Not just for her, but even with Biden, because what I see, the one thing from them, I see union. That's what the Democrat has brought, unification.
Can I ask you, if you don't mind, if you don't mind me asking this, sir, what is your race, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm an African American.
Okay, so you're the perfect person to ask this question to then. What goes through your mind, sir, when you hear middle-aged white Republicans, some who are in office, call Kamala Harris a DEI hire? What goes through your mind?
Stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are ignorant to the fact, and I was listening to you previously, a lot of those people deal off of feeling and not fact.
Right.
And they'll do anything to hurt a person.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like y'all call him Trump, I call him Chump. Trump don't deal in facts.
But they get angry at us when I call him a liable sexual abuser or rapist because the judge characterizes that. A jury of his peers found him liable. They say I'm acting on emotion. When I call him a 34-count felon, they say I'm acting on emotion. When I say January 6th doesn't happen if Donald Trump wasn't president, they say I'm acting on emotion. When I say that he has multiple kids with three ex-wives, they say I'm acting on emotion. When I say he had unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron was born, they say I'm acting on emotion. Everything I say about Donald Trump is true. Everything I say is factually accurate, but they say I'm acting on emotion.
Well, can I share this with you? You asked me my race, right?
Yep.
As an African American, you know the history of what we've gone through in life, way back in when it comes to slavery.
Right.
Okay. You know you had different categories.
Yeah.
Okay. Meaning you had the for real ones, and then you had the ones that lived in the house,
right,
in the big house.
Right.
The ones that followed Trump, those are the ones that live in the big house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Listen, Donald Trump Donald Trump has a history. His family has a history. His father was once arrested at a Klan rally. David, you sound like a great guy. Thank you so much for calling in, and you call back in anytime, sir. I'd love to hear your perspective. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Sally. Sally is next up on PTL. Hi, Sally. Thanks for calling in. Where are you calling from?
From New Mexico.
New Mexico. All right. What's on your mind today, Sally?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that Trump's people, it's in the, I'm sorry, I've never done this before, but the High Court gave the president more power, and I think that's going to bite them in the butt when Harris gets in.
I agree. I think there's
because
a
they were anticipating Trump being able to do so much more.
Yeah.
Gave him that power. And that's all I wanted to say.
Well, Sally, I want to ask you a
awesome.
question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
What?
interrupted you. What were you saying?
No. That's okay. I just wanted to let you know I really admire you.
Oh, well, thank you, Sally. That means a lot to me. That really does. People like you are the reason why I do this every day. Sally, you sound like a very nice, intelligent lady. I have to ask you, in the last couple weeks, JD Vance has gone after women. We've heard the things he said in the past. He says that if you don't have kids, you shouldn't have as strong a voice as someone who does have kids. In the last couple weeks, we've seen so many on the far right call Kamala Harris a DEI hire from a female's perspective. How are they winning over any votes from people like you? I don't understand.
That beats the heck out of me. It's beyond me.
Yeah.
The women, when Trump was running, they said, "Oh yeah, he can go ahead and get me in the crotch." I just don't understand that mentality.
I do.
Sorry.
You know
I
what,
cannot
Sally?
give you an answer.
You're right, Sally. And I'm with you 150%. And thank you for the call and the nice words spoken. I'll understand it. These are bigots. These are people that hate women. These are people that hate minorities. These are bigots. And it's why their Cheeto Jesus rapist leader, because that's who he is, defended the Confederate flag when NASCAR banned it. He was the first person to go on Fox News and attack NASCAR. Because that's what these people represent. They represent hatred. They represent bigotry. They represent misogyny. That's who Donald Trump is. Grab him by the P word. They let you do it. It's the way he's treated women his entire life. And you can see it in Melania Trump's face because she hates him possibly more than I do. So I guess his own wife has Trump derangement syndrome, according to the MAGA right moron cultist idiots. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. It's brave for people to call in that have never done this before. And I'm humbled by that. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julian. Julian is next up on PTL. What's up, Julian? How you doing, man?
Hey, man. I'm deep into prepping out a dinner for 20 people, so pretty fantastic.
Nice.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, my friend. What's on your mind today?
So I don't know if you saw, I missed the first 2 minutes of the show, but obviously we saw that there was the Zoom call for Black women to support Kamala Harris.
Correct.
I'm not sure, we're like 40,000, but I'm not sure if you saw, but there was a similar one for white women last night.
Yeah.
Where between 130 and 150,000 women were on that call, and they broke Zoom repeatedly.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, and that we cannot underestimate that and how much money Kamala has raised just because she's the nominee. These are huge numbers, astronomical numbers.
Yep. Now, there's an attempt at a one for men, and we failed epically. In all fairness, I didn't even see that it existed until it happened after.
Yeah.
So there's another one happening on Monday. So we look. It's pretty clear that women are going to save us. There's a reason why they are called the fairer sex.
I agree.
I
agree.
But we can't. But we as men cannot, be completely dependent.
Yeah.
And we need to step up and do a small part. So
I agree.
I guess
So I have an idea.
I
have an idea, Julian, and I'm partly serious and I'm partly joking, but I respect your opinion. So JD Vance is coming to town on Tuesday. Here's what I think we should do. Okay. I think we should trap JD Vance in a furniture store with a bunch of couches while playing dolphin porn. That's what I think we should do. And then get some. I think we should get some cameras in there and see him sexually assault a couch while watching dolphin porn. I think we should do that.
But here's the thing: we should hold that footage until a week before the election,
right?
Because if we display that now, it'll be too far out, and Donald Trump will be able to ditch him. So we need to save that for when it's the most damaging possible.
You're right, Julian. Good to hear from you. But they would try to spin that as well. Oh, come on. We all do it, right? We all pleasure ourselves to dolphin porn and sexually assault couches. They would find a way to spin that like they find a way to spin anything. I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump could call Kamala Harris the N-word, and they would say you're taking it out of context. 702-221-7283. I'm not kidding, by the way. I want to get JD Vance, trap him in a room with a couple of nice leather couches, and put on some dolphin porn, and let's see what he does. It's not that I want to see it, but I think we have to as Americans. We have to. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Lori. Lori is next up on PTL. Hi, Lori. Where are you calling from?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. All right. Well, all right. Kamala was just out there. What's going on today? What's on your mind?
Oh, well, besides the fact that I have two neighbors that have Trump stuff all over their yard.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Ugh.
Me too. But I'm wondering, what are your thoughts? Do you think he's going to debate her?
Yeah, so here's what I think is probably going to happen. I believe Donald Trump and his campaign staff are going to try to make every excuse in the book, they already are, to try to dodge her when it comes to debates. But I also believe it's a lose-lose situation for him. He's certainly not going to gain anything by debating her, but at the same time, he's going to be labeled a coward if he refuses to. I think Kamala Harris should agree to every demand he has, so long as they're not completely unreasonable. I don't care what host moderates the debate. I don't care what network it's on. Just do the debate, because I have all the confidence in the world that she will wipe the floor clean with Cheeto Jesus.
I want to see that so bad.
Well, I think it'll happen. If there's anything that Donald Trump and his base fear, it's powerful, prominent black women. Yeah. That's who they fear. They don't want this country to look like her. And here she is, educated, far more education and far more talented and intelligent than Donald Trump. He fears her. Do I think the debate's going to happen? Probably. But you mark my words, Lori, they are going to do everything they can, the Trump campaign, to dodge it. Thank you for the call, Lori. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Amelia. Amelia is next up on PTL. Hi, Amelia. Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Georgia.
Georgia. All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Amelia. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I'm actually a cheesehead too, just like the young lady from Wisconsin. But anyway, first of all, I just wanted to make the comment too about, a lot of people, talk about how they're not ready or not ready. I think those people, with all due respect, they're not ready for change is what it is. And they're not used to change in the world. And so, how much has our world changed in the last 20 years since the internet came out?
And it could be because, I think you're right. And it could be because they're very uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable having conversations that involve race. They're uncomfortable having conversations that even involve anything like equity. Kamala Harris is getting attacked for talking about equity and equality because they're very uncomfortable. They're very uncomfortable having conversations talking about systemic racism or even talking about an innocent black person that is shot and killed by a police officer. They were uncomfortable with George Floyd. They're uncomfortable with this stuff.
And then you talk about, we don't have enough accountability.
Yeah. You're right.
Until we have more accountability with regards, we are seeing it now more, obviously, with Rudy Giuliani, and hopefully Trump too.
Yeah.
And everything. But until we have, I think, more of that too, it's not going to get through some of these people's heads, for example, that, we just can't stand for this anymore.
You're right. You're right. You're right about the accountability thing. Let me tell you something. If Donald Trump was seen on a video raping a woman or a child, for that matter, I'm not saying he did, but I'm saying if it was on video, there is a base of his supporters that would still vote for him. So what can we do with these people? Nothing.
I don't know. You look what they did to what was the prince who over there in England. He got the boot.
Right.
After he with a picture that was taken.
Right.
Of a young girl or whatever. But
yeah.
We're too lenient. We're way too lenient on.
Yep. I agree.
On these politicians and so forth. And
yep.
I'm sorry, but we've got laws out there, and they all, they're not above the law, period. He is not above the law. I don't care.
He's not.
And something needs to be done. So
he can ask for immunity, by the way, until the cows come home. He ain't going to get it. The chickens are coming home to roost, and when he loses in November, he will face more accountability and maybe even possible jail time. So thank you for the call, dear. 702-221-7283. Janelle is the caller next up. Janelle, thanks for calling in. Where are you calling from?
Colorado, from Denver.
Colorado. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Beautiful city there, Denver, Colorado. What's on your mind today?
Hi. Honestly, it is. I'm pretty proud of Denver.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of things that have really been on my mind. I keep posting it everywhere I can, and I keep, putting it out there, and it just keeps kind of disappearing. So who knows what's going on with all that? But I did notice, the whole crazy Catwoman thing that they called our vice president, that JD Vance called her. I don't know if you know about that meme where they're, calling her a Catwoman, and then right, then the left has turned it around and made it, really fun and everything. The crazy Catwomen.
The left is doing a great job in going after this complete fool, bozo JD Vance, this lying fool, who's, by the way, changed his name more times than maybe either Donald Trump has cheated on any of his ex-wives, which is quite a lot, by the way.
I think that's a fact.
Yeah.
There's a piece in there that no one seems to bring up, and no one seems to have noticed. Did anybody else catch the part where he said, if we're going to have a strong ruling class in this country, we're going to have to do more? I'm like, what the hell? How could they miss that?
Yeah, we can't miss stuff like this because by the way, JD Vance is he's too scared to do an interview on Fox News. He's too scared. He's too scared to even. He's doing these like the Megyn Kelly podcast and these far right podcasts. He's afraid to even be in prime time. Can you imagine him on a debate stage debating a guy like a Kelly or a Shapiro? Give me a break. This guy is I don't think he's a very intelligent guy, and he says a lot of stupid things, and he's dry as a doornail. He is so boring, and he's so misogynistic. Honestly, I'm not sure Trump could have picked anybody worse. I think this pick has helped the Democrats a lot.
He's done nothing for their party, which is fine. I'm there for that. I'm glad. But I just wonder if anybody else had heard that little piece in there where he talked about a strong ruling class. I'm like, what in the heck are they talking about?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you my promise. I'll give you my promise. I'm going to go back and check that out. And if I can find that tape, I'm going to play it on Monday for you. How does that sound?
Oh, great. Yeah, do that,
Yes,
please. I love your show.
Thank you.
Great job.
Oh, that means the world to me. Thank you so much for calling in, sweetie. I appreciate that. And for people out there that I want to give this out again because it's important. We are an independently owned show. It costs money to do a radio show. It's not cheap. So we rely on people like you, kind of like public radio, public television. This is kind of the same thing. So check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live, where you can donate or you can buy merchandise. And we're going to come up with some cool ideas in the future where if you make donations, you get a shirt, you get certain prizes. And I can promise you, anybody that makes a donation, within a couple days, you're going to hear from me personally. So again, it's pushingthelimits.live. That's the website. You can check it out. We have the donation button. And if you want to buy merchandise, you can buy merchandise. We got a lot of cool swag on there you can buy as well. So that's how you support what we do here. 702-221-7283. I'm going to try to steal another few quick phone calls if I may. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hi, Ray.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good, my friend. What's on your mind today? Where are you calling from, by the way?
I am calling from Monticello, Iowa.
Iowa. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
No problem. Second day listening, first time caller.
Thank you.
I just want to say that you're affirming a lot of what I see here, what I hear from people across the nation, that there's momentum behind Harris. The Trump people are losing it. Mm-hmm. And I'd also like to say that, Trump is an extension of these folks' identities.
Yeah.
Like so much.
Sure.
So anything that's a threat to Trump is a threat to them, and I just don't understand how people can break like that. And it's odd. I have coffee every day with this group of guys, and I just sit there with my mouth shut, and the stuff that comes out is
you got better
unbelievable.
You got better patience than me. I got to tell you, when I hear some of this stuff, I lash out. I just call them for what they are. They're MAGA deplorables, and Hillary Clinton was right when she said it. They're MAGA deplorables. Donald Trump's base are a bunch of uneducated white people that are bigoted in nature, misogynistic. Some of these people don't even think women should vote. That's who many of these people are. I call it out. They don't want to hear it. And that's why when I went to this Trump rally in Vegas 6 weeks ago, and some of my videos went viral because I said it felt like a Klan cult, they got all up in arms and they got all upset at me. Why are you so upset? Because it's true. That's why they don't like to be called out for it. If Donald Trump told all those people at some of his rallies to burn a cross, right? They would do it. If he told them to put on a white Klan outfit, they would do it. They are sick. These people. That's who they are. They're sick.
Oh, yep. They're just moments away from using the hard N word and using the C word.
That's what the DEI hire means. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah. But they're just right at the next level. They're going to start using that in the public. I tell you, they're not beyond that. They want this war. They don't understand. They just don't understand how things work in this world.
Ray, there are too many people out there in this country like you that they could live in Iowa, they could live in Boston, New York, wherever the case may be. There are too many people like you that are logical, decent human beings that understand what is going on, Ray. And I'm glad you're out there, and you're one of them. And that is why I believe Donald Trump will never see the White House again. Let's go to Maggie. Maggie, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What's on your mind, Maggie?
Hey, I just have a question for you. Don't know. The other girl that was on just recently, she added a little bit. I'd heard something this morning, and I hadn't heard anyone talk about it today on radio. So just a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about the hush money trial being reopened and the judge saying some words on September 6th and Trump being sentenced on September 18th?
I haven't heard about sentencing. I can tell you that they're working on an appeal, which they're not going to win. I've heard of the sentencing being rescheduled. I don't know if it's going to happen before November, if that makes sense. So I'll have to look into that, and I'll have to see the latest on that. The attacks on that judge are continuing. They're just despicable and disgusting. The fact that, he didn't have a fair trial because his daughter bought a $25 Joe Biden shirt, or he bought a Joe Biden shirt for his daughter, is so outrageous and so ridiculous. Let me tell you something. I wish Donald Trump would rehire the attorney Haba, because he hires so many incompetent people, including his vice presidential running mate. It's ridiculous. I think Haba and Vance are two of some of the dumbest people that America has to offer. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look into that for you, and I'll try to give you an update on Monday, okay?
That'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in, my dear. I appreciate you. Who do we have time for? Do we have time for one more? Who do we got? Let's go to Nelson. Nelson is next on PTL. Hi, Nelson.
Save the best for last.
Save the best for last. What's on your mind, my friend? I got about 1 minute, unfortunately, but go ahead.
Yeah, all good calls, but remember, Trump did say that he loved the poorly educated.
He did.
So that speaks for itself. And now, new video has emerged that JD Vance supposedly said that people without kids should pay higher taxes. It just gets worse and worse. And the last thing I'll say is this. This whole thing with a DEI candidate.
Yeah.
All I hear is the twice as qualified candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike him, she didn't have to, sell any shoes or anything. This money is coming from small donors, regular average people, putting in whatever they can to send a message that we're not going back to the cynicism and all this hatred rhetoric, sexism. We're not going back. We're moving forward.
Agree. Very well said, my friend. Please call back Monday. I'll give you a little bit more time. Thank you so much for the call. I also want to thank those that have been making purchases and donations. Thank you, Catherine, for your donation. We greatly appreciate you. We have some purchases as well. I keep saying that the Don't Be a Right-Wing Buffoon shirt are going off the shelves very fast, and we've had a number of purchases today, and I'm trying to go through them right now really quickly and thanking you all for doing so. Ronald, thank you. Your donation as well. I'll be reaching out to all of you a little bit later on in the week. Joining us right now, gosh, it's always nice to have a breath of fresh air. She's a former, she comes from a former right-wing and evangelical family. She's a former pastor, but you've seen her multiple times on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. You've seen her also on Dr. Phil, and it's always a pleasure to have the beautiful and talented Nicole Mitchell joining us right now. Nicole, it's great to see you on a Friday. How are you?
Hi, Brian. I'm so good. I'm greeting you from Minnesota.
Minnesota. We've had a few calls from Minnesota today. Minnesota is beautiful. Thank you for joining us. I always like ending the week with some positive stuff, right? And I was reading this story, and I wanted you to talk about it because it's really heartwarming. Poor woman who developed breast cancer, and she had just gone through chemo. And, you know, I'm sick and tired of these people that don't need the money winning these jackpots. But it sounds like this woman deserving of, she won a $5 million jackpot. Tell me about this.
I can't believe it. So she just finished chemo and she was actually boarding a flight to go home. And that's when the world shut down and all these flights were canceled or delayed and she was stuck. And she's like, well, since I'm not going anywhere, I might as well go buy a lottery ticket. And she buys a lottery ticket and goes in her car, scratches it off. And in that instant finds she's a winner. She goes back inside to the store, like, I just need to verify. Am I seeing this correctly? And the owner's like, or the worker there's like, you just won. Like how? And she said, if I had not been delayed.
So this was like a scratch off that she won?
Yes.
Oh
And
my
she's like,
gosh,
if I
5 million? Wow.
She's like, if I had not been delayed, if my flight had not been canceled. So there's at least one incredibly positive story with a crazy shit show of plane cancellations and delays. And this woman walked away $5 million richer.
Wow. Good for her, man. Obviously the hell that she's been through and back. And, you know, I mean, I don't say this all the time because I don't think you can explain why so many bad things happen to good people, but then you can say to yourself, maybe some good things happen to good people and there's a reason for it. So I certainly believe in that in this situation. That is so super cool.
So happy for her.
Yeah, $5 million is a lot of money. So let's hope she enjoys it. You know, they don't even, did you know, Nicole, scratch offs are illegal in the state of Nevada? Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Why is that?
I don't know. They're legal in California and the lottery is illegal here too. They got to change those rules. I remember growing up as a kid, you know, 12, 10, 9, 8 years old. I'd walk with my grandmother and I miss her dearly every day. And we would walk into this like Mart gas station in Connecticut and she would buy a few scratch offs. Back then they were only $1. Now you can buy like $25 scratch offs. It's ridiculous. And she would let me scratch them off with her. And it was fun, you know, and it was fun. I would scratch them off with her. And sometimes she'd give me a few dollars if she won and I'd buy candy. And my grandmother, you know, she loved to play bingo and she loved the scratch offs. And that reminded me a little bit of this. I wish she won $5 million, but I'm very happy for this lady
What a
for doing
special
so.
memory.
Very cool. Yeah, I remember
love
that.
that.
And that was, yeah, very, very memorable. And I love those types of memories of my grandmother. So this is another cool story because, as you know, I hate it when people throw away things like, you know, at the end of the day at Dunkin' Donuts, they'll throw away all the donuts and all the food. And I'll say, whoa, what are you doing with all that? And they don't give it to anybody. They just throw it away. Well, the airlines throw away life jackets at times when they expire, right? Which is understandable. You don't want your life jacket to expire. You want one that works. But now we've learned that they're turning some of those life jackets into backpacks. Tell me about this.
This is amazing. I've never actually thought about the fact that, of course, these life jackets would expire. So they expire about every 7 or 8 years, which is great because there's new life jackets that are going to work. But they say that's about 18,000 a year just for like American Airlines alone that they have to throw in the landfill. So they ended up partnering with a company that upcycles, and they are now taking these expired life vests and turning them into satchels, fanny packs, small backpacks, and selling them and repurposing them, and people love them. And I love that American Airlines, it led that. They were trying to actively find a better solution for the planet, and this is the solution they have found.
Super cool. And I'm sure
So
a lot
cool.
of, so where are these backpacks? Are they going to kids? Where are they going?
No, they're for sale, and they are for
Oh,
sale
okay.
between like $100 and $160. So you can actually like, they're making good money off us. Whoever's getting that money at the end of the day, they're making some
See,
good
they
money.
could have turned they could have turned a cool story into a great story if they donated this stuff to children and to needy families. But of course, some of these big companies and these airlines, they won't even give you free peanuts anymore.
Right.
And now, you know, unfortunately, I'm glad they're turning these life jackets that can't be used anymore into something that people can use, but it'd be nice if they actually made it affordable. I don't know. I think, I don't know if that's a fair criticism, but I don't know.
Well, I'd be curious what they do with the profits. Do they donate to charities? Do they do like we don't know the
Probably not.
full line there, right? But it does remind me your story about Dunkin' Donuts. In college, I learned this. I didn't know they threw out perfectly good food every day, like
Yeah,
horrified me. So one time, my girlfriend and I, we were RAs at our college dorm, and we went dumpster diving at like 5 or 6 in the morning of
really.
all the things that they like bags of like don't perfectly good donuts from the night before, and we brought it back to our dorm and set it all out so it looked like they were new, and everyone from our dorm ate these donuts, and we were like, it was kind of like a joke. It was both like, let's save some food, but also let's not tell people where we got this food.
Right.
And then I got out that we got it from the dumpster, and people were like, laugh but slightly mad. But I was shocked that restaurants do this. They
Yeah,
throw out
they do it.
perfectly good food.
I don't understand why they don't donate it to homeless shelters or call up a shelter and say, hey, can you pick up this food because we're going to throw it away? And these shelters, and some, by the way, do that, but most don't.
Some do, yeah.
And it's very upsetting, right? I mean, you could be helping out a lot of people instead of, throwing this stuff away. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, it is what it is. What can we do about it, right? All right, so I want to see some movies this weekend. I still haven't seen that movie Civil War. I really want to see that movie. I haven't seen a really, really good movie in the theater in a long time. Now, I'm not a huge fan of animated movies. I was when I was a kid. I'm not a big fan of it now, but there are some animated movies out there like Inside Out 2, right? That has record profits, right? Tell me a little bit about this. And what movies do you want to see that you haven't seen? I'd like to ask you about that too.
I actually want to see Inside Out too. When I saw the first Inside Out, I was mesmerized at how people are able to take the very complex emotions that we as humans feel, much less undergo as we're growing up, and put them into such distinct characters we can all relate to. And now I'm excited to see Inside Out too, because now you have all these other new emotions that come later into your life as you get older and go through puberty. And my kids saw it and they are in love. Like now when they feel a certain emotion, they'll name it. Like, oh, it's the anger inside of me, or it's disgust. And like, so it's been
Right.
really helpful for my kids, but it's also very entertaining.
Yep.
And I think that they shared that Inside Out 2 is the highest grossing animated film. Is that what it said?
Yeah, I was reading a little bit about it, and that's what it said. And
Insane.
people are bringing their kids. They want an escape. You put on the news every day, and it's nothing but negativity, right?
Yeah.
And you watch an animated film, and it's joy. Your kids enjoy it, and it's fun.
And
But
it's relatable. Like
yeah,
I think the
sure.
kids and grown-ups can see themselves like in these different emotions that we feel at different
Absolutely.
seasons.
I'm old. The cartoons I like growing up were Tom and Jerry. I
I
watched
love Tom and Jerry.
Tom and
So
Jerry,
good.
Sesame Street. Yeah, I watched a lot of cartoons back in the day, and now
Do
I'm
Bugs
forced.
Bunny,
Oh, sure.
Roadrunner,
Yeah, absolutely.
all the good ones.
Yes, absolutely. Well, maybe I'll watch some cartoons this weekend, but I hope you have a wonderful weekend with your family, Nicole, your lovely family.
Thank you.
And I'll let you know if I catch this flick, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Hope you have a great weekend. Okay, Nicole?
Thank you, Brian. You too. See you
All
next
right.
week.
You take care. Thank you, Nicole. Bye-bye. I want to say a quick shout out to Helen from Australia. She just called us. She listens every day, and she'll be calling on Monday. I love the fact that people listen from all over the world, not just all over the country. And we've gotten a lot of people checking out the website today and making some donations. I'll be reaching out to all of you again. I'll say this again because it's important. We are an independently owned radio station. What does that mean? Well, we're like public radio. We rely on people like you to donate and to buy merchandise so that we can keep this show going because it's not cheap. So what can you do to help? How do you help? I'm so glad you asked. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website, pushingthelimits.live. Anthony Scaramucci made a donation. How about that? Thank you, Mooch. So you go on that website and you'll see there's a store there where you can buy merchandise, all sorts of different stuff, from shirts to hats to water bottles. We appreciate that. And if you don't want to buy merchandise, you can make a donation. There's a donation button there. It doesn't matter whether it's $5, $20 a month, whatever you can do, whatever you can afford, we appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys very much. And we appreciate everybody that's done that today, that's bought some T-shirts and made some donations. I appreciate all of you very much. You allow us to continue to do what we do on this show every day. And Monday, he keeps rescheduling, but I promise you on Monday, he's one of the first Democrats to come forward to say that Joe Biden should step aside for new leadership. Congressman out of Massachusetts and former presidential candidate Seth Moulton will be joining us on the show Monday, and we have many more special guests that are going to be joining us next week. Thank you all for joining us. I hope everybody has a phenomenal weekend. Thank you for Lev Parnes for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow, or I should say Monday. Tomorrow's my day off. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino. Just minutes